House. You may proceed.
Thank you very much. Honorable colleagues, I would like you, if you are sensitive and if you have a weak heart, to please put on your earphones, because what I'm going to say to you today is going to have a real impact on you if you have a weak heart. I do not stand here as a member of parliament. I stand here before you as a father. I stand before you as a brother. I stand before you as a friend and as a member of a hurting community. I stand with the weight of countless South African families who are crying out for help as drugs tighten their grips on our homes, our children, and our futures. Honorable House Chair, last week in Phoenix, a tragedy unfolded that shook me to the core. An 83-year-old grandmother who happens to be blind, Kamachi Naika, was brutally stabbed to death in her home. Her daughter, a 63-year-old Shirley Appelsamy, survived multiple stab wounds and now lies in hospital. I happened to have visited her. Her throat was slit because the assailant tried to take out her chain. Now here is the most grotesque part. The perpetrator of this was not somebody unknown. It was actually her own grandson. A child that she once cradled, now consumed by addiction and turned into a monster. But this was not just an act of violence. It was a murder of trust. A grandmother slain by the very child she once nursed. Members, what kind of darkness is this? What kind of poison corrupts so deeply that families become foe? The answer is simple. It is drugs. But Phoenix is not alone. Here in Cape Town, a teenage boy was found lifeless behind his school, a needle still in his arm. In El Dorado Park, a mother had to pull a child out of a shallow grave after a gang war fueled by turf and tick. If you didn't know what tick is, it's also another form of common drug that's easily available to our children. In Chatsworth, I met a mother who had no choice but to chain her son to a bed just to keep him from stealing and using drugs again. These are not horror stories. These are real people. They are our people. I have worked with street children. There was a young girl that I met on the street, Lindiwe. She was 11 years old, a most beautiful child. She ran away from home. She refused to go back. She was hooked on drugs. Her mother was a school principal and would come to the streets in the evenings just to see a child and beg a child to come home. I met the mother. I met the child. 3 days after that meeting, we found a lifeless body near a manhole on Mahatma Gandhi Street. That is the reality. As my own children were growing up, my wife and I would pray every night that they never come into contact with drugs. Because when that substance enters your home, peace will leave. And it doesn't knock. It barges in. It breaks everything. Trust, joy, love, and everything. Drug dealers, my friends, are real. And they are not hiding. They prey on our children. They stand at school gates. They whisper offers in corners. They sponsor events and shake the hands of politicians and the police. Some are even protected. And in some cases, the police are turning a blind eye. Or worse, they are taking a cut. Let me ask you, and I want to be honest about this. Is there anyone here who can truly stand up and say, you are untouched by this crisis? Is there no one in your family, in your community, in your heart, who has not been consumed by this plague? Even in this house, I know there are members who understand the pain I speak of, who have buried, who have wept, who have prayed like we have. Rehabilitation is supposed to be our hope, but too often it has become a failure. It's underfunded, overcrowded, and disconnected from reality. Over 60% of those who seek help relapse within months. But there is hope. In the city of Tshwane, the community-oriented substance use program, a methadone-based treatment model, has shown great promise. More than 70% of the participants remain in treatment after 6 months. That's not just a number, that is a lifeline. Imagine if the success could be replicated across our nation. If every child in pain had access to this kind of care. But it cannot happen on hope alone. It needs commitment, it needs funding, it needs leadership from each and every one of us. Not to use this opportunity to show our anger against each other. Let's transfer that anger to the drug dealers, to drug substance abuse. Let's join hands, all of us, and let's do it. It needs funding and it needs a political will. And yet, while we host expensive conferences, etc., the very backbone of our community response is dying. Families are suffering in silence. Members' addiction doesn't care about color, class, or creed. On behalf of MK Party, the progressive parties here, we want to make this call. We want to establish a national crack anti-drug unit, independent and comprised of local police structures. Empower them with the ability to raid, seize, and arrest quickly, effectively, and fearlessly. If SARS can attach your accounts without getting a court order, why can't we give the police the power to go in and attach the drugs, confiscate the drugs from drug dens? Roll out the successful Tshwane methadone model across the country. Ring-fence a dedicated budget for rehabilitation services. Task the Department of Health and the Department of Social Development alongside the Department of Police to lead this charge, not in words, but in daily measurable action. Let us break the chains, not only those around the wrists of addicts, but the chains that bind families in silence, that bind communities in fear, that bind governments in indifference. Let this parliament rise with one voice. For Kamachi, for Shirley, for the children beneath the bridges, for the mothers who have run out of tears. Let us remember as this parliament that we broke the chains. We did not just debate them. There is a person, I don't know what's his name, but he accused our Spitfire, our spokesman, of being a drug addict. What's his name? Fraud something. He went and got tested and he proved that this guy is a liar because the test showed that he's clear. So maybe we should all be doing that even with our own children. Thank you for listening and let us make this a reality. Let's fight the scourge of drugs in our society. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Masango.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, good morning, good afternoon rather. A picture paints 1,000 words. We're on a street corner in any town in South Africa. A young boy, barely 15 years old, stares blankly into the distance through glazed eyes. His future is slipping away as he chases the next hit of Nyawope. His mother, who works 2 jobs, has no idea how to save him. His school has given up. The clinic has a long waiting list. And the state is silent. This is not just one boy. This is our country, a symptom of another lost generation, lost to substance abuse. The South African Society for Psychiatrists shows that one in every 5 South African adults abuses substances, that is alcohol, dagga, and codeine. Millions of lives impacted translate to millions of families hurting. Let me break this down a bit, honorable members. A 2009 study found that alcohol abuse was costing South Africa nearly 10% of our GDP. That is 37.9 billion rand in lost productivity, illness, and crime. The ban on alcohol sales during the COVID-19 pandemic reduced the number of hospital admissions due to alcohol-related accidents. Young people are increasingly falling into binge drinking and cannabis use. These are the very people we call our future, yet we are letting them drown. And the consequence? It is gender-based violence and femicide. It is crime. It is poverty. It is HIV. It is tuberculosis. It is broken homes. It is homelessness. It is violence. So here is the question. Where is the political will? When the Central Drug Authority was created, we were told it would oversee and monitor the implementation of the National Drug Master Plan. The CDA would also coordinate efforts across government departments and civil society to counter substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking in South Africa. It would also be the apex authority that would oil the engine of government in its